Hey guys, welcome back. In light of changing economies and recessionary spending, it seems like a lot of people are interested in living more frugally these days. Not only is it easier on the wallet, but a lot of people find themselves much happier when they live a more minimalist lifestyle as well. So today I'm going over 9 recession-proof activities or pastimes that are completely free or cost very, very little. So whether you're looking to save some dough or you're just looking for ways to switch up the ways you spend your time that might be a lot healthier mentally, even physically and emotionally, then here are some ideas for you. Number 1 is just to get outside. It seemed like it was cheating to come up with a bunch of different numbers for like take a walk or go for a hike or sit by a lake. There are really so many things to do outside that I just thought I would lump them all together into one, which is just to get outside. Especially if you can get a little bit of exercise, going for a walk type thing. But remember that the outdoors are completely free, okay? As of right now, no one is charging us to use the outdoors. What's that song? Pave paradise and put up a parking lot? Who knows what the future will hold. But right now we can just walk out our doors, get some fresh air. It's so good mentally, emotionally, and physically if you get a little exercise. If you're anything like me, I enjoy doing things outside. So working in the garden or hanging out with the chickens. Obviously, those are some options if you have them, playing with the dog if you have one, but you know, there's really something to be said for just going for a walk or hanging out outside. If you haven't done that lately, honestly, if you haven't done it today, now might be a really good time. Number 2 is to read a book. I am surprised whenever I go back and read a book that I've already read. Some books I've read 7 or 8 times because every single time I glean something different. You might have books in your house that you haven't read. If you're anything like me, you probably do. Or you might have books that people have passed on to you. You can always get books really, really cheap, like $1 or $2 or even less at a secondhand store. Or of course, if you have a local library, you can always go to the library for free. Of course, make sure you return that book on time because otherwise it won't be for free. But reading has so many benefits and it's sadly become kind of a lost art in this day and age. Not only is it incredibly affordable, it helps increase your focus, but there are so many benefits to just reading a book. I'm a sucker for a solid actual book with pages. And if you're anything like me, electronics have kind of destroyed your focus over the years, but just push through it, okay? I swear, after like a week of just forcing myself to read in bed at night, I found that it became a lot easier to focus on the pages. I know it's pathetic to say, but a lot of us are in that same situation where electronics have kind of destroyed our ability to enjoy reading and or focus. So just push through. I promise you it will come back. Number 3 is to learn a new skill. That kind of goes off that reading a book idea, but you can learn a new skill so many ways. I would really recommend reading a book or talking to somebody who knows this skill. I think that is a really healthy way to learn something. I'm a kinetic learner, so if I have somebody teaching me where I can try it, that's how I'm going to remember it the best. But find something that you want to learn. It could be tying knots. It could be preserving food. It could be learning to code. I mean, screens aren't inherently evil. If that's something you want to learn more about, go for it. Maybe it's learning to sew. Maybe it's learning to knit. There are so many ideas, obviously, that are floating around in my mind. I know somebody who's learning to ice skate in their adulthood. Do not let age limit you. You can do whatever you want to do, and a lot of it can be free or very low cost. That kind of brings me to number 5, which is reconnect with humans in real life. It's so sad that this has to be said in this day and age, but it is free to talk to your neighbors. It is free to talk to your fellow human beings. And I think it's a really good thing. I think people have become so negative because people live on the internet and people live in their cubicle and don't want to, I don't know, converse with other humans, but we are social creatures. It's so important to do because it's healthy mentally and emotionally. I did a video recently on Great Depression era skills, and one thing I really appreciated people leaving in the comments was all about how it's so important to build relationships with your neighbors because then you can barter for things, but also you make friends, and everybody needs friends, even if you're an introvert like me. So remember, it is completely free to get out and to talk to people, and even if that's something that's a little uncomfortable for you to do, like it is for me, I encourage you to push yourself to do it like I do because it is better in the long run. Number 5 is going to be exercise. I know a lot of people are going to be turned off to that idea right away, but it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Remember, it can be going for a walk. It can be, honestly, it can be seated exercise. I used to be a personal trainer, and a lot of people could only do exercises while sitting down. That's okay, because what exercise is going to do is it's going to get your heart pumping, it's going to get your blood flowing, it's going to start to release some endorphins, and almost every single time people exercise, they end up feeling better at the end. They always say, the only workout you regret is the one you didn't do, which actually I kind of disagree with. Personally, I hate early morning workouts, and sometimes I regret them for the rest of the day. So I'm not going to tell you that. But if you haven't exercised lately, remember it is completely free. You don't have to go to a gym. I haven't had a gym membership for years now. Totally fine that way. You can do body weight exercises. I like to block out 30 minutes to an hour for exercise during the day, but even if you just start with blocking out 5 to 10 minutes, if I told you there is a really good chance that you're gonna feel better after you do that exercise, maybe it'll motivate you a little bit. And again, it's completely free. Not only is it free, but when I was a trainer, I saw a lot of people end up being able to drop a lot of medications, get rid of a lot of like assistance equipment. Not saying that everybody can do that, of course not, but you never know. If you start to exercise, it might actually save you money in other ways. Repurposing garbage or things that you would throw away into actually useful objects. And I'm doing it mainly because I can't believe how much the stores are charging for like a pot these days. And granted, it's probably actually pretty cheap compared to historically. There are so many things I used to throw away, like yogurt containers or jars from like spaghetti sauce that can be used to store. I'm using them to store seeds that I'm saving from my garden. I'm using them as pots to start plants in next year. So taking things that I would normally throw away and actually keeping them organized is what's key. You don't want a bunch of junk laying around everywhere all the time. Another thing I've noticed is that kids, especially little kids, will play with anything. And it doesn't have to be a fancy toy from the store. In fact, I've found a lot of times the toys we get from the store are played with for about 30 minutes and then they sit on the shelf. But it's been really fun to try things like taping together empty tubes of toilet paper and making binoculars. Seriously, they love this kind of stuff and it's so good for their imaginations. Plus, it's good for my imagination and creativity as an adult too. So just starting to get creative with how you can repurpose objects that might have just been thrown away in the first place is always a benefit, and it's completely free. Plus, it might save you on not having to buy other things later on. Number 7, I have meditation. If you're like me, it's like, yeah, meditation, okay, like I'm gonna do that. But it's actually so important. I have to push myself to meditate. For me, prayer comes easier. That's another thing that is obviously totally free to do. When I was making this list, I was trying to think of things where it's free to do, but also after you do it, you're in a better place than before you did it. So things like going for a walk or exercise or reading a book, I feel like fall into that category. For me, prayer falls into that category. You know, it's easy for me to be go, go, go all the time, but just stopping and praying, even when it's not necessarily something I feel like doing, I find is very beneficial. If you don't pray, then meditation has so many health benefits too. I'm trying to get better about meditating in addition to prayer, because as you can tell, I talk fast, I think fast. I think it's so good to slow the brain down. In addition, I know meditation will help things like reading books and just thinking through problem sets. So meditation is free. Maybe it's not your idea of fun, but I have one friend actually who does it really regularly and he swears by it. He swears it changed his life. So I'm putting it on this list even though I know a lot of people are gonna scoff at it. It can be a benefit and it's completely free. You know, I'm sitting here thinking like, why are we so turned off to the idea of meditation? And I'm realizing it's because we all just wanna be stimulated all the time. It's like we'll shove money at things just so we receive some kind of visual stimulation or mental stimulation. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but if it's something that we're addicted to, well, it's probably worth dialing back a bit and seeing how we can find more balance. Number 8, this one's more specific, but kind of goes off number 1, is to cook something outside. If you've ever cooked something outside, there's this magical thing that happens where it just tastes so much better. It tastes incredible. And I have found that it tastes good when you cook it outside when it's like nice weather, but if you cook outside when it's cold or when it's like rainy, oh my gosh, that meal tastes so good. If you can just get a little cover and eat something that you cooked in the rain, perfect. I always say one of the reasons we grow our own food is because everything tastes better. I don't care if it's placebo. It may be partly placebo, it's probably partly that things are fresher, but if there was a magic ingredient that you could add to any dish to make it taste like 3 times better, wouldn't you do it? So much of a dish's quality is not necessarily a magic combination of ingredients, but actually putting effort into it and then reaping the rewards. We as people are so wired to want to work for something and to reap those rewards. So I think that's part of the reason why cooking things outside tastes so much better, even if it's something as simple as s'mores or a roasted marshmallow. You know, obviously if you have a propane burner or if you have I don't know, the cast iron cookware, you're probably gonna need something, so I guess it's not 100% free, but there's a good chance that anything you have in your house could be used outside, especially if you can build a little fire. I'm not sure when the last time was that you cooked something outside and ate it, but for me it's something we're trying to do more often, even though it's not necessarily the most convenient. If you guys don't have a cast iron pan already, I'll link for you below what that is. So versatile, recommend it. We use it on our induction cooktop inside as well as for cooking outside. But you can also use it on gas, electric, whatever. Finally, number 9, the last thing on this list of things that are free to do is to make some music. You can do it with an instrument, which is obviously not going to be free. In fact, it might be pretty expensive. Or you can do it with whatever you have on hand. If you're like me, you can sing as long as there's no one else around because it ain't pretty. But I still do it. I mean, I subject my family to it. But you can make music just about anywhere and for free. And actually, a lot of libraries do have rentals where you can rent things from the library. So maybe, I don't know if you'd want to rent things like a harmonica. I have my own harmonica, but there's various instruments that you can rent from the library if that's something you want to do. Obviously, you can be learning a new skill. Maybe you can try your hand at a few different ones that way. We're also used to consuming music and just kind of listening to it, which I don't think there's anything wrong with. And in fact, if that's what you want to do, maybe listening to music is your variation of this idea. But I would encourage people to get out of their comfort zone and try making some music, because if you think about human existence, it's just a part of who we are. Humans have always made music and joined in song together, so you know, it doesn't have to be with somebody, but even if you think, oh, that's not me, I'm not musical, you never know. Maybe you find some fulfillment out of it when you try it. So there you have it. Those are 9 ideas of things that are completely free or very, very inexpensive that you can do for fun during this kind of crazy world spending cycle going on right now for who knows how long. As always, I love when you guys leave comments with your ideas to add to the ones that I had. Usually there are better ideas in the comments than what I came up with. So if you have something to share, please leave a comment below. Whether it's something that resonated with you in this video or if it's something that I didn't mention, we would all love to hear it. I hope this gets your creativity flowing. Thanks for watching today, and we'll see you next time.